Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing today? I am hot. It is about 100 degrees here in Caldwell, and it's going to be hotter. We are in a heat wave, and we're expecting 100 plus degree temperatures, at least for the foreseeable future. And I have a 10-day forecast that I can see, and the temperatures are expected to be at least 100 degrees. Where I think on Wednesday we're supposed to be around 107, 109, somewhere in there. And it's not supposed to cool down anytime soon. So today I wanted to just chat with you and talk about summertime safety. If anybody is there watching and you would like to chime in with any tips that you have, either in comments or if you would like to jump into the live stream with me, I will be happy to share a link, and you're welcome to come up and share your tips live with me. You know, it's easy to get out there and just get busy doing what you usually do and forget about what you need to do to stay healthy in the heat. And it's important to stay healthy. And there's a lot of different things that you can do to keep your body healthy and prevent heat-related illnesses. And I know that Idaho's not the only one that's suffering from this heat. There's a lot of southern states that experience heat waves all the time and for a lot longer periods than what we do. I know in the south you guys have a lot more humidity than what we do. We have very little humidity. We have a very dry heat here. I don't know if I could handle the humidity. The dry heat can be unbearable at times. For us, if we get up to 30% humidity, we're miserable. But you know, we find ways to adapt. If you can find breaks, if you have to work out in the heat, find breaks or schedule breaks to move into the shade or go inside and cool off. That's one way to protect yourself. Make sure that you're drinking a lot of water. But it's important, too, that it's not just water. You can drink all the water that you want, but you also need to replace your minerals. Gatorade, Powerade, Liquid IV, other sports drinks are good to help. P&J's Homestead, hi, welcome in. I'm so glad you're here. We're talking about summertime safety tips. We're experiencing a real heat wave that's hit southern Idaho. the Pacific Northwest especially. And so if you have any tips for summertime safety, please drop them in the chat, or if you would like to come on live, I'll drop a link for you to come in. Just let me know. If you prefer not to drink sports drinks or liquid IV, one tip that I've recently learned that helps you to absorb the water better is take just a few grains of salt and put them on your tongue and then drink your water. It will help you to absorb the water better. My husband very recently started a new position at work, and he's working out in the heat. And he couldn't understand why the more he drank, the thirstier he got. And so I taught him the trick about putting the salt on his tongue and then drinking the water. And he was surprised at how much that helped. And P&J, that is a really good tip. Putting a wet cloth on your neck while you're working can really help reduce your heat in your body. And the nice thing about it is when your rag is wet, as it heats up, you can always take it off of your neck and fan it, and it'll bring the temperature of the rag back down, and you can put it back on your neck to cool yourself down again. That is a really good tip. Thank you. Sunscreen is also important. I don't use sunscreen like I should. The reason I don't is because I don't like the chemicals. I don't like my pores being plugged up. I have some autoimmune disorders that prevent me from sweating. I don't sweat like I should. And that prevents my body from cooling down like it needs to. My body cannot release the heat the way it needs to. So I'm looking for ideas on natural sunscreen options, things that I can do to protect my skin naturally without putting all those chemicals on my body. Now, Jesse and Lisa from Lazy Days Ahead have been talking a lot about natural insect repellent, using vanilla as an insect repellent. And just what they've taught us to do is to mix a teaspoon or two with water and putting it in a spray bottle, and either misting our bodies with it or using a rag and just gently wiping it on our bodies to prevent insects from biting us. ACEFLA1, thank you for coming in. I am so happy you're here. We're talking about summertime safety tips. If you have anything that you'd like to share, please drop it in the chat. I think I'll go ahead and drop the link. Give me just a minute. If anybody wants to come in, see if I can figure out how to do this again. Yeah, like don't touch fireworks. That would be a smart one. I'm trying to figure out how to drop the link. Give me just a second here. I am so sorry. I am so sorry about that. I was trying to drop the link and I'm on my phone and I can't do it. I would have to go into YouTube to do it. And if I do that, then it kicks me out of the live. I am so sorry about that. Please forgive me. I'm going to get the hang of this one of these days. We had to do an errand this morning. And when I got home, we were still busy trying to take care of it. And I didn't get to go on my computer for the live. But anyway, where were we? I forgot. Thank you. Yes, we were talking about insect repellent and sunscreen. I would like to find a way to have a natural sunscreen without having to add layers of clothing, because I overheat really quickly. And I haven't been able to figure that one out yet. I don't like to put a lot of chemicals on my body because our skin is our largest organ and it absorbs everything that we put on our body. And I don't want to put all of those chemicals in my body. And so if I can find a natural sunscreen alternative that doesn't entail putting layers of clothing on, which would cause me to overheat even worse, then that's what I would really like to do. So if you know of anything, please share that. So let's see, what are some other summertime safety tips that you can think of? If you're watching the replay, please share your summertime safety tips, because I could really use them, and I know that anybody else that's watching this could really use them as well. Heat stroke is something that's a real danger. You know, there's some definite warning signs: dizziness, drowsiness, stumbling, excessive thirst. You know, if you notice any of those symptoms, slurring your words, you know, those are all signs that you might be suffering from heat exhaustion or heat stroke, and that is not something to mess around with. You know, you need to take it seriously. Get somewhere cool. Bring your body temperature down. And if you can't bring your body temperature down, get help. Don't try to drive yourself. Get someone to drive you to the emergency room or an urgent care. And if you don't have somebody to drive you, call 911. Get help. It's really, really important. You know, and it's not just us that can suffer from the heat. Our animals can as well. You know, make sure that your pets have somewhere to go that's cool. Make sure that you have shelter for them, a place to get out of the heat. Make sure that they have plenty of water. You don't want to leave them in the heat. I mean, there are animals that live outside, and that's just a fact. Not all animals can be or should be brought into the house. You have livestock guardian dogs, and it's their duty, it's their job. They live for being with their animals that they care for. And, we understand that. And they're not going to be happy in the house. We get that. But that doesn't mean that you should not provide them someplace outside that they can get out of the heat, that you should not provide them with plenty of cool water to drink. It's important. Give them frozen treats to eat. They'll enjoy a good treat once in a while too. Cattle, they need shade that they can get into. And your horses, they don't necessarily need a fancy barn or anything. A lot of cattle won't go and use a barn. But trees that they can get in underneath for shade in the afternoon, or even a lean-to that casts a shadow that they can go and get into the shade. Shades of gray, welcome in. P&J, that's great. That is awesome that they offer that for their dog. I really like that. Kendra, consume the goodness. Welcome in. I'm so glad you're here. We are talking about summer safety tips, and I would love to hear any of your safety tips that you offer. We are really, my husband and I are really suffering in the heat right now. As I mentioned at the beginning of the live, we have, we're just coming into the beginning of an extreme heat wave in the Pacific Northwest. And we've been hitting 100 degrees or better for the last couple of days. And by Wednesday, we are supposed to be around 107 or 109. And there's no end in sight for the 100 degree weather. For my husband and I, we live in a mobile home, and it's an older one, so it has metal siding. And the mobile home park that we live in does not have good management. We cool our house with an evaporative cooler, also known as a swamp cooler, and it has to be hooked up to a water source to work properly. And it has a water hose, a really small, thin water hose that hooks up to the water source underneath the house. And the water source had a leak in it for a very long time. Well, they said they would fix it, and they sent somebody, but they didn't fix it properly. When they fixed it, they took the hose bib off that allowed us to hook our swamp cooler up. So we have no way to hook the water line up for our air conditioner. So basically all we have is a great big window fan. And if we want the water feature for it, we have to spray it down with water. It doesn't help when you have hot air all night. Um, at, we did try that P&J. We have fans blowing in the house, but the way that the swamp cooler works is that it pulls the air through the water and cools the air using water. And without that water source, the air doesn't cool. And so we're trying to be creative on how we can cool that air. We're not we're not suffocating in there. I worry more about our animals. We've been spending a lot of time outside. Actually, it's cooler in the shade. We have a light breeze. We have a light breeze outside, and so we sit in the shade a lot, and that's comfortable for us. But we have cats and a little dog, and I worry about the cats. They seem to be finding some cooler places to hide during the day. It just makes it hard to do any kind of cooking or anything. Yeah, shades of gray. It's tough when, you know, we've grown so accustomed to air conditioning. It puts it into perspective what our ancestors went through. You know, I try not to complain too much because I think about what our ancestors did. You know, how did they deal with it without air conditioning? And it's just hard when you have a body that doesn't regulate, when you can't regulate your body temperature, and you can't sweat to cool your body down. It's really hard. So, but I try really hard not to complain. And anyway, I just, you know, I thought that summer safety would be a good topic for today, since a lot of us are under heat advisories and dealing with different summer issues, you know. So shades of gray, you're dealing with some of the same issues that Logan and I are dealing with. How are you working around the heat and trying to deal with that and cook and do all the things that you need to do when it's so hot inside, and you still have to take care of the family and do laundry and everything else. What are you doing to combat the heat? And pardon my finger, my camera's right there where I need to scroll. Oh, Arizona heat, that is miserable, Kendra. I've been through there during the summer. That's miserable heat. I would like those recipes, Kendra. I'm scrolling back through to catch any comments that I might have missed. Somebody mentioned cucumbers back here. I did see that. And cucumber mint water is one of my favorite things to drink. I'm just waiting for an opportunity to get some cucumbers and harvest some of my mint so that I can make some. Cucumber mint water is something that is very, very refreshing. Yeah, doing laundry in the evening, that's a good way to do it. Cold foods. Barbecuing helps a lot too for an evening meal. If you can get your barbecue out and set it up in the shade, have a picnic. Yeah, electrolytes really help. I actually have been drinking a lot of vinegar water, and I am surprised at how that actually helps. Pardon my shakes. I'm using my phone and I didn't grab my tripod. I'm just holding it and my hand is really shaky. But I put just a little tiny bit of vinegar in a bottle of water, and then I add vanilla to it to flavor it. And it's actually really, really refreshing. And the vinegar is super good for you. It does a lot for your body. Oh, an upstairs room. Yeah, the heat rises, so it would be a lot hotter upstairs. I don't know if you caught it at the beginning, Shades of Gray, but drinking water is very important. But if at some point your body will flush out all of your minerals it's important to replace all of your minerals and electrolytes. So be sure that you're replacing that at some point in your day, because the water will flush all of that out of your body. And one thing that I learned recently is that just taking a few grains of salt and putting it on your tongue and then drinking water will help you absorb your water better than just drinking water. You don't have to do it every single time, but just a couple of times during the day, just a couple of grains of salt on your tongue and then drinking your water will help you absorb your water better. My husband tried that theory after working out in the heat with his new position at work. And he said it really, really has helped him a lot. He's been doing that a couple of times a day, and it's helped him a lot. I really liked the tip earlier. I think it was P&J Homestead Adventures, I think is what it is, mentioned putting a cool rag on your neck. There's some people that used to make these, it's like a long tube with these little water beads inside of them, just a piece of cloth stitched with the water beads in them, and then you soak it, and those beads absorb the water, and it stays cold for a really long time, and you can put it around your neck while you're out in the heat or wherever. I used to have some, and they came unstitched, and I lost all the beads out of them. But they were really, really effective. But you could put just a cool rag around your neck while you're working, and that really helps. Well, you don't want to put a whole bunch of salt. You don't want to use a whole bunch of salt. It's just a couple of grains of salt, just like 3 or 4 grains of salt, like your Himalayan salt, and put that on your tongue. You're not taking a whole bunch. It's just a little tiny bit, just a few grains of salt, and putting it on your tongue. If you're eating a diet high in salt, then yes, you would get dehydrated faster. But it's only just a tiny, tiny bit that you want to use. That sounds like a pretty good recipe there. Oops, I think I clicked the wrong one. Hold on. Where'd that go? There's the one I was after. That looks like a really good recipe. That would be so refreshing too. And that one too. Oh, wow. That would be so hot. I'm so sorry. I can only imagine what it would be to work in a factory and then come home to no air conditioning or no way to cool yourself. Thank you for those recipes. Well, if anybody else has any other tips for summertime, you know, ways to stay cool, ways to stay healthy, mealtime recipes, anything at all that you think would be beneficial during this heat, please be sure to let us know, because, you know, that's what we're here for, is to help each other out, help get through this wonderful time of year, but also dangerous time of year. You know, and I also want to encourage you to think about your neighbors, especially your elderly neighbors or your disabled neighbors. You know, think about them and consider looking in on them. You know, they may not want to tell you when they need something or when they're lacking, because they don't want to be a bother. They don't want to intrude on you and your family or you and your time. They don't want to be a burden to anybody. And so please be sure to look in on your neighbors. Be neighborly. You know, we're called to be a light to the world, to dispel the darkness. And what's more lonely and dark than having a need and not knowing who to reach out to, or being stuck at home in the heat and having a need and no one to reach out to. So I just want to encourage you to first of all, know the signs of heat exhaustion and know the signs of heat stroke. Be aware, stay hydrated. Look out for your animals too if you have them. Keep them in mind. Be a friend. And, you know, if you've gotten something out of this, please be sure to hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section after the video. Share this out. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. If you're catching this on the replay, I am so glad that you're here. I'm glad that you decided to take a look. And please leave your comments and your tips. Again, if you have ideas for mealtime, you know, in the heat that might keep it from getting so hot in the house, leave those ideas. They're greatly appreciated, especially when you can't keep your house cool. And I want to thank you guys for being here. I'm going to go and see what my guys are doing, see if they've gotten my new dryer put in the house. I'll fill you in on that at another time. And I want to thank you for being here. I'm going to catch you again later on this week. Love you guys. Bye.